This is a photo of my husband and I with the tiny human in the middle who changed our lives forever. Just a few days after becoming foster parents, my husband and I got a call from placement asking if we would take a newborn little girl straight from the hospital at only 2 days old. Prior to that, the only kids that we had in our home were the four-legged furry kind. So nervously but excitedly, we said yes. And just 2 hours later, the case manager arrived at our house with a newborn little baby in the outfit she had on from the hospital with samples of diapers and formula. Throughout that 6 months that she was with us, it changed me to the core. I'm here today to tell you about how my journey as a foster and adoptive parent led me to figure out what my passion and promise is to change the world. Now, the foster system is a really complicated thing, so I'm going to give you a brief overview of how it actually works. Typically, kids are put into foster care because of seriously unsafe choices that their parents have made, and that can be anything from the parents had been incarcerated, they aren't able to provide a safe living environment for the kids. It could be domestic violence or abuse as well. So typically when that happens, the state then intervenes and they place these children with another adult who could be a family member, a friend, this could be a group home, or it could be a licensed foster parent. Just to give you some impact of how many kids this actually involves, in the United States right now, there's over 400,000 kids currently in the foster system. In Hillsborough County, where we are right now, there's over 4,000. Just next door in Pasco and Pinellas, there's almost 3,000. So that's 7,000 kids in the Tampa Bay area who currently are not able to live at home with their parents. And then so you can also see the number of licensed foster homes. In Hillsborough County, there's 422 homes with 771 beds and 427 homes with 829 beds. So those beds are the spots available for those 7,000 kids who are currently in foster care. So you can see the difference between how many beds are available and how many kids actually need safe homes to live in. So what happens is a lot of the older kids, teenagers, are more self-sufficient, so they end up living in group homes where a lot of them live together because they're more self-sufficient. And then the state will find any possible family or friend that they can to have a safe place for these kids to live. The purpose of the foster system is to be a temporary environment until the parents can eliminate the problems that they're having and become a safe home again for their kids to live in. And sometimes that happens, but sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes kids spend years in foster care. And sometimes they end up being adopted by a foster parent or that friend or relative that they've been living with. And then sometimes kids turn 18 and they are still in foster care and they haven't been adopted, and that's called aging out. So in Tampa Bay, over the last 12 months, there's 164 kids that have aged out of the system. Can you imagine turning 18 and not having parents or a family to go home to? That is what these kids are facing. So also, when you get licensed as a foster parent, there's a pretty big process you have to go through, and there's a series of classes you take, you get background checked, they come and look at your home to make sure that you have a safe environment for these kids to come into. And during that time, you also create the profile of the kids that you will have in your home, and that can be age, race, gender, how many kids you have space for. So that brings you back to my story and the little foster baby that we had. I'm also a photographer, so this is a picture of each of the months that she was with us. I took many pictures of her, of course. And from the minute she came through our door, there was this indescribable love for someone that we had no connection to at all and didn't even know. And throughout the 6 months that she was with us, we learned how completely difficult the system is and all of the moving parts that go into it. There's meetings with the case manager, there's all different types of visits that have to occur, as well as court hearings and those kinds of things as well. So as a foster parent, you're there also to provide a safe and loving home, but I learned that most importantly, you are the one that is there to fight for the best interests of this child. And sometimes you fight for that by yourself because nobody else is. So after she left our home, after that 6-month time frame, the loss and anger that I had was just overwhelming. I literally spent sleepless nights, night after night, thinking about and trying to figure out what I could possibly do to help these kids who don't have a voice for themselves. So after that, our journey ended up taking a little detour as we decided we definitely wanted to adopt. And so what we did is we signed on with a small local adoption agency in the hopes that we could adopt a sibling group from the foster system. Just a few short weeks after we had signed on with them, my friend Holly, who's also a foster parent, in conversation over the phone had told me that her foster child's birth mom was pregnant and was going to place the baby for private adoption. And so she just randomly said, oh, you guys could probably adopt the baby. And I was like, yeah, right, like there's no way that's possibly gonna happen. I mean, that's kind of like random. So I wish I could tell you the entire story. I don't have time today, but ultimately, it did happen. And on February 16th, 2014, Madeline Joy was born. You can see these are the first pictures of my husband and I with her at the hospital. She was born at TGH, so we got to feed her first bottle and change her diaper. It was truly, truly an amazing, life-changing experience. But our story doesn't end there. There was another surprise that we weren't expecting. About a week or so after we brought Maddie home, this lady from our church messaged my husband and said, hey, congratulations on adopting Maddie. I saw you just brought her home, but I was hoping you would adopt my neighbor's baby. Would you meet with the birth mom? And again, I said, sure, why not? Like, we'll meet with her, but no way. Like, that's super, super crazy. But again, 4 months later, Everly Hope was born, June 14th, 2014. You can see this is our first family photo of the 4 of us at home, and that's her as a tiny little 5-pound peanut in her little rock and play. So sometimes I still can't even believe it myself. But these are our forever twins, or our almost twins. They're only 4 months old, so they'll be 4 months apart, so they'll be in the same grade and everything. So throughout that process, so many people had said to me that they have always wanted to be a foster parent or they've always thought about adopting, but so many people never actually go through with it because it's too expensive, it's too difficult, we're not sure what to do or how to get started. The cost of private adoption, whether it's in the US up through internationally, can cost anywhere from $20,000 to $60,000. So obviously cost is the #1 deterrent because it is really, really high. And as I'm answering all these questions and hearing these things, I thought, I just did this, and I have the answers to all of these questions that people are asking. So I knew this is the way that I could channel my energy into something positive to help other people. So what we did is together, Holly and I decided to create a foundation to help eliminate the barriers to families becoming foster and adoptive parents. So on July 22nd, 2014, the Promise Love Foundation officially got our 501c3 status, and we do those 2 things. The first is we partner with families to tell their story and help them raise the money that they need for their adoption. And then the second thing that we do, it doesn't cost any money at all. We just provide information and help people figure out what is the journey that they are wanting to take, whether it's becoming a foster parent, an adoptive parent, or even just supporting other people during the process. And I have to tell you, from the beginning, I knew the name of it, that it had to be the Promise Love Foundation, because Promise Love was the name of our foster child that we initially had. So it's a really, really cool story. So I'm going to show you here also, these are some of the families that we've had the privilege of walking with in their journey. There's 8 families here, 13 kids represented. Some of them are sibling sets that were adopted from the foster system. Some of them were adopted as a newborn. The family you see here in the bottom corner, that couple is the family we just started working with, and we're helping them raise $27,000 for their infant adoption. They're waiting to be matched with a birth mom. And then the family directly above that, just last month, we were able to go to their house and surprise them with a check for $9,000 for their adoption of the little girl that you see in that picture. And it was really just an amazing, crazy experience. So overall, over the last 2 years that we have been doing this, we've been able to raise over $100,000 in both services and money to help create more forever families. And when you put your passion out there, you'll be surprised how many people will come and join you on whatever that passion happens to be. So everyone in life has scars, and you have experiences that leave scars on you, but it's up to you what you actually do with them. You can cover them up, or you can develop them into a passion and a promise to help other people. So you don't have to have a lot of money. You don't have to, even start an organization. Your most valuable asset is the time and the talent you have towards whatever your passion happens to be. And you can find it, but you have to be looking. And when you find it, run, don't walk towards solving whatever that problem is or whatever is keeping you up at the night. I'm going to leave you here with a really simple quote from Steve Jobs. The ones who think they're crazy enough to change the world are the ones who do. Thank you so much for listening to my story. It was truly an honor to be here.